everybody, welcome back. This is the Chelsea Rundown, episode 46 for the Dolphins, women's first and men's fourth for round 3. That opener music is going to run by Tony Herdman. And tonight I'm joined by Liesl. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very well, thank you. And also Ace is joining us. How are you, buddy?
Mate, every day's a good day.
Excellent work, mate. All right, Liesl, first up, the women's game, round 3. I believe it was Saturday 19th, Chelsea v Footscray. Can you please take me through the lineup?
So leading off, we had Kate at centre field, Michelle at shortstop, Bronwyn at third, Jess behind the dish, Liv at first base, myself on the hill, Mel at second base, Sam at left field, Eliza at right, and Michelle starting on the bench then came into left field.
That sounds like a solid lineup. Were there any call-ups from the women's seconds to the first this week?
Yes, so unfortunately our seconds had a washout against Waverley. So luckily for us, we had Michelle come up from the twos and play for us in the ones at Footscray.
Fantastic. Now, tell me things. What were the highlights of the day?
Some of our highlights were amazing hits from all the girls. One of the standouts were Michelle's 3 RBI double. There were some amazing catches in the field and some plays through to first and some great pitching.
All right, then. Tell me, what was the final score?
The end score was 25-5. We did hold them to 1 run for majority of the game, but they just scored a few on us in the last inning, but it was a very good game.
Look, if I can say, it seemed like you might have put the foot to Footscray in this game because you absolutely pants them by the end of the final scores that I'm looking at here. And I mean, when you're amassing 17 hits on the day, 20 RBIs, and also to go along with that 11 walks, that's just an absolute demolition. And I'm amazed you guys didn't all drive Bobcats out there because that's pretty much what you did with Footscray. You demolished them, and they'll probably be tearing down Footscray Baseball Park after that game, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, definitely a good game for us. They were a really nice group of girls to play against, but yeah, it almost makes the travel to Footscray worth it with a score like that.
Chelsea putting the foot in Footscray. Liesl, golden flipper time. Please tell me, whom was nominee 1 this week?
Nominee 1 was Michelle for her amazing 3 RBI double. She hit the crap out of that one. I voted for that one for my nomination. It was the best hit of the day, in my opinion. I was surprised it didn't go over the cones, if I'm being completely honest.
You know, that's a pretty amazing performance. So congratulations, Michelle. Great hit on the day.
I think she should have definitely pushed 3.
You might have to have a word with the third base coach, Sleechel. I'm not sure if you know who that was.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Liesl, great nominee 1. Whom, please, was nominee 2?
So nominee 2 was Mel for a 2 RBI double, and she scored Bron and she scored Liv on her hit and advanced myself to third base. It was an amazing hit. I believe it was a stand-up double and bounced over the cones.
Beautiful.
I was going to say, I've played with you, Liesl, and if I was on the third base line, unless that was a stand-up, I would have been waving you through.
Yeah, I think Will knows my speed isn't probably quite up to that.
Very good. All right, then. Who was nominee 3, please?
Nominee 3 was Kate, and that was for stealing home on a ball 4. So I believe it was Bronwyn that got walked, and then just sort of great heads-up base running by Kate there. Catcher sort of wasn't really paying attention. The field was sort of not really focused on the game completely, and just taking advantage of the lull, she sneakily came and stole home.
It was fantastic play. A great week all around. Thank you very much, Liesl. Ace, that brings us through to your good self, sir, for the men's fourth, Chelsea v Pakenham, my friend, for, Sunday, the 20th of October. Whom was in our lineup, please?
Yeah, so look, pretty standard lineup as of the new summer lineup, which is Shane, Jesse, Nico, myself, D. Fisher, also known as Frank Farmer for his beautiful bodyguard work on a baseball shortstop, teabagger, D. Ellingson or Razzle Dazzle, Big Ugly, Anthony Cruz. Welcome back from your sickness. They call you AJ. I call you Apple Juice because that's AJ's also. Big Jason Humbles and Lucas Terry. Back in the side.
Very nice, mate. Please tell me, what were the highlights for the day?
Look, I don't really know if we should be talking about this game. No, let's be honest. Look, we played a team that was pretty top-notch on the day, very defensive-minded game, and obviously that came down to the final score. You can sort of see that both teams were sort of clicking on all cylinders, especially in the defensive end and in the field. Unfortunately for both sides, the bats weren't swinging and weren't cracking things quite in the middle where we needed them to be, and that definitely sort of represented in our final score, but also in Pakenham's final score. We know that Pakenham played Waverley a couple of weeks ago and put up 25 runs. I think it was 25-5. Then we played Waverley and won 8-3. So the fact that we were able to take a team that scored 25 against Waverley and that quality pitcher that we saw down there and resist them to only sort of 3 runs on the day, I thought was pretty good by us. We'll obviously get a lot better in the batter's box because that's what we sort of do. We go about our way and we'll learn from this. And obviously the quality of pitching, probably definitely the speed of pitching has got everyone sort of on the back foot a little bit. But we'll catch up. We have in the past and we always get better, and that's what Dolphins do because we all swim together. But, you know, big shout out to AJ Apple Juice up on the mound who let us off in the first dig. He was absolutely incredible. Couldn't ask him to do too much more. Big shout out to Dave Fisher, Frank Farmer over at third base. I know he hasn't played a lot of third base, but I sort of definitely had a lot of confidence in his ability to go out there and do it. And he definitely sort of backed it up. And I'd love to see him back out there a little bit more often. Your lovely wife, the queen of the diamond, Jess, back at shortstop, did amicably. And, same as all our outfielders, and ugly at first, but great game all around. I couldn't really ask too much. Big shout out again to Dave Fish, who took the mound again for the last 2 innings, I think it was, and just did a hell of a job. But everything's moving in the right way. We just got to get these bats cracking it in the sweet spots and starts getting a few more runs across the board. And once we do that, we'll be back in good stead.
Speaking of swinging those bats, mate, I've got to give a big shout out to Nico. I struck out in my second at-bat on a curveball, which is exactly what happened to me the week before. But Nico had a quiet word to me, gave me some advice. And so for my third at-bat, I was able to get hold of that curveball. So, Nico, huge shout out to you. Thank you for improving my swing in that batter's box. But, Ace, what was the final score, mate?
Yeah, look, a tight one in this, ultimately 1-3 our loss. And like I said, we weren't getting the middle of the bat. So that's something that we'll sort of focus on tomorrow night at training. Probably a little bit of extra time in the cage. I know we're going to bring out the pitching machine to do live hitting and maybe crank it up a little bit just to get our eyes all sort of ready for a bit more faster pitching, because so far that's what we've seen. But yeah, look, 1-3 I think is pretty amicable against the side that scored 25 against Waverley. So we'll take that as a little bit of a win, and we'll definitely build from this.
Speaking of winners, mate, tell me, Golden Flippers, who's nominee one this week, please?
Well, the big teabagger yourself, you don't mind getting a nom here or there, but you definitely dip your nuts on this one as you sort of slotted one past second base there, which was the one hit that scored us the sole run for the day, which got Davey Fisher over from second back home. It was an absolute great hit, and I'd love to see you sort of just drop those nuts into the opposition and crank back on one.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate the nomination. Tell me, whom was nominee two?
Well, I can't go much further than Frank Farmer, a.k.a. Dave Fisher, who just sort of keeps adding to his resume week in, week out, whether he's doing it on the mound, third base, shortstop, doesn't matter where you seem to put him. The man can play anywhere, and probably got the best hit of the day, maybe other than his brothers that ended up being a fly ball catch, but it was a great hit. But this was a cranking hit, just popped it straight over second base and just inside the infield. They had a really strong outfield, so it was just the absolute perfect place to place a ball, and ended up being a stand-up double.
It was a fantastic piece of hitting. Great work, Dave. Ace, tell me, please, nom three?
Yeah, the Greek Freak, like you just mentioned, big kudos to him. Welcome back. We love having him back in summertime. Just took a lovely little off-handed catch over at second base, and probably most right-handers would have struggled with this a little bit because this was glove side for him. He sort of just made it look a little bit effortless, but I had to give him a nomination, being a right-hander myself and having played a bit of second base. Knowing that trying to get across that way would have been quite difficult, but it was very handy having a lefty out there. So great job, Nico.
Great work, Nico. Fine stuff all around. It's time now to discuss, shall we, the results for the week. Liesl, please tell me, how'd the women go this past weekend?
Our ones had a win from the 25-5 against Footscray, and our seconds were unfortunately washed out.
That is unfortunate. Is it a win? I feel like we need another word at 25-5, a thrashing maybe.
I mean, I suppose you could say that.
You might have to change your name to the Demolition Dolphins because you guys seem to be everywhere you go, just dropping bits of TNT and blowing everyone away out of the water. So, great job to the girls. Absolutely loving their success, and probably attribute a little bit to us having Jess and Lisa with us next year. Obviously, they've been able to take a little bit of that culture over there and sort of STEM wins. What am I talking about? They won a granny last season. We ain't won duck's nuts. So, great job by you girls.
Couldn't have done it without our D-grade roots.
Perfect. Ace, tell me, how'd the men look around the grounds this past weekend?
Yeah, look, a bit of a sort of up and down sort of feeling, the first and second. The first, they had a win, 3-2. They nutted one out. The seconds had a 0-1 loss, unfortunately. Thirds seemed to absolutely smash packing them 13-4, so good on them. And unfortunately, our fourths 1-3, and our fifths, unfortunately, 8-10, which looked like a close game. They were playing on the diamond behind us. So I was keeping a close eye on that one, Teabagger, because I like to see what's happening in the Dolphin pod.
Indeed. I always like to know what's coming up this weekend. Liesl, please, where are the women at?
We have a double header at home. So our seconds will be starting at an 11 a.m. game and our firsts will be starting at 1:30.
Very nice. Looking forward to that. Ace, tell me, where are the gents this weekend?
Well, it looks like the men, 1s and 2s, are both down in Mornington, 4 p.m, 1:30. Get on down if you can. They do have a lovely schnitzel burger down there, I've been told. Thirds and fourths, we are playing up Ferntree Gully, 4 p.m, 1:30. Fours at 1:30. The threes at 4 p.m. And the fifths are playing over the Cheltenham Rustlers, 1:30 game. So if you can, get on down to one of them. Definitely, if I was to tip my hat in, I'd be saying get on down to the fourth game because we're a pretty exciting bunch.
There we are. Thank you both very much for hosting with us this week. Excellent work, Liesl. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ace, fantastic work, mate. Good on you.
Always remember the pod swims strongest together.